Some days when we come to the yoga mat, our thoughts are so scattered that it's difficult to do the practice. Or sometimes we have some emotions that restrict our movement. We just want to stay on the earth. We want to stay close to the ground. And that has a way to untangle the blues. Let's begin by lying down on your mat. When our thoughts are so scattered, sometimes just getting close to the earth has a very calming effect. We come back to our true nature. So as you lie down, bend your knees, lift your pelvis, and if you've got blocks, put the blocks underneath your pelvis. If you don't have blocks, books, or some adaptation will work fine. And just allow yourself to settle in. You can close your eyes. On days like this, where it's very difficult for us to settle into a full practice, just allowing yourself to move in a very slow fashion enables you to tune in with your breath. Enables you to get a little bit more clarity. So as you draw the heads of your arm bones back and get a little bit more space between your chin and your chest, become a little bit more active. Spread your fingers, bend your elbows, and press your elbows down to get a little bit more fullness. This allows you to find spaciousness for your breath. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. Now let's see if you can get your legs to be a little bit more active. Lift and spread your toes. Release your toes down to the mat, but keep the spread and pull your heels in toward your heart. Just allow your breath to flow very naturally. This appears to be a very static pose, of course, but you're engaging. You're engaging the muscles of your arms, engaging the muscles of your legs. You're engaging your breath. So keep that level of engagement and draw your blocks out from underneath your sacrum and maintain this bridge pose. So often I like to end my practice in this way. So it's kind of nice to start my practice on the mat in the supine position. Doesn't feel like that I don't have to switch gears so rapidly. I can just allow myself to go gradually into the practice. You can release your pelvis down. Draw your right knee in and just give it a nice hug. Just draw it in. And as you draw it in, notice how the low back just draws back to the mat. Now try to get the low back to lift slightly as you draw your knee slightly away from your chest. So you get that natural lumbar curve. Let your left arm be free, and with your right hand at the knee, just make some circles with your knee just to tune yourself to the hip area. The more attention we give to the physical body in the practice, the more our mind starts to unravel, untangle, as it were, the many thoughts that are occupying our mind, and we can draw our attention to our body. Now, take your knee circles in the opposite direction, just kind of hydrating this area of the pelvis. Now, release your foot back to the mat. Extend your legs out and just kind of pause here for a moment. As you pause, allow your feet to engage more as you spread your toes, and just do windshield wipers with your feet. Just draw the feet side to side so that you get a little bit more opening there in the ankles before bending your knees to plant your feet and take your left knee up toward your heart. And once again, you'll feel that lumbar spine just drop back toward the mat. Now see if you can regain that curve to the lumbar spine by drawing your knee away from your ribs. Keep your left hand at the knee. Reach your right arm out, and in the same way that we just did, draw circles in one direction with your knee. Keep your toes very active on this lifted leg. Draw circles the opposite direction. So you're just slowly starting to tune in to your body. You can release your foot down and straighten your legs again with that windshield wiper action of your feet. Engage your legs by spreading your toes first and just draw your feet from side to side, just moving very easily, tuning in to the actions of the legs. Now bend your knees again. Draw your right knee in again. This time interlace your fingers behind your thigh. And just like the last time when we tried to find a lumbar curve first, draw the knee slightly away from you before reaching your right foot up. Press the back of the thigh against your interlaced fingers. Spread your toes. You get this nice engagement. If you can reach the toes a little bit closer toward the front of your mat, go ahead. But see if you can still maintain a nice lumbar curve. Release the foot down. Come to the opposite side. First, hug the left thigh in. Interlace your fingers right at the belly, the hamstrings, muscles there. Reach your foot up. Spread your toes. Keep that engagement as you draw your toes toward the front of the mat. Draw from the heel down to the pelvis to get this nice engagement. You can feel how the hamstrings are pushing against your interlaced fingers, and the interlaced fingers just keep a nice strong isometric action of the leg. Release your foot down. Now take your feet as wide apart as your mat is, and with your knees bent and your arms out to the side, just draw your knees over to the right side. Now we're doing this windshield wiper action with our legs, keeping your feet nice and wide apart and on the ground for now. Lift your knees up. Now go to the opposite side. Allow your knees to draw down. Get this nice feeling of length all the way from the right kneecap to the heart. Inhale, lift your knees up. And take your knees to the opposite direction, to the right side again. You can park your right ankle to the outer knee if you feel like it provides no stress to the left knee. You can take your left arm up to give you more spaciousness on the left side ribs. Take your right foot back to the mat. Take your left arm back to this winged position. Lift your knees up and take them to the opposite side. And same thing. If your right knee can bear the weight, just park your left ankle there. Take your right arm over your head and enjoy a nice fullness to your stretch. Nice fullness to your breath. And as you're ready, you can once again take your foot off your knee, come back to the center position. Draw both knees in, draw side to side so that you feel like you are getting a nice massage to both sides of the spine. Before taking your feet down, take your hands to the hip points and see about creating a really big lumbar curve by lifting the front of the pelvis right into the palms of your hands. You'll feel a big lumbar curve developing. Now draw the spine back. Keep your legs very active as you press the waistline back toward the mat, and there's no curve. Now again, recreate fullness of the curve by lifting your pelvic points into the palms of the hands. Engage your legs nicely. Do the opposite, just like cat-cow. But we're in this supine position where we get a little bit more feedback than the action. Draw once again back. Last time, lift your pelvic points so you feel like you've got this really full belly as you draw the shoulders back and move the pelvis so that your tailbone is lifting up. Now come to what feels like your natural curve. You've got a little lifting quality to the low back. So we started in this supine practice. Now roll over. Let's come to the belly. Just lie on your belly. And as you lie on your belly, place your hands right alongside your ribs. With the hands providing very little support, just pulse with the breath. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, soften. 2 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, soften. 1 more. Inhale. Nice, easy actions to take your thoughts into a place of stillness. Now, with your forearms pressing down, with your left forearm at a diagonal on the mat, just draw yourself over to the side. Bend your right knee and just hold on to the foot. Now softly take yourself back to the mat. So if the foot is not available to you, take your hand to the shin or the ankle. And on the inhale breath, just rise up slightly. So now that you start to feel nice stretch to the front side of the leg there, you keep this engagement and soften. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale. As you reach your foot back, you're holding on to your leg, just opening up easily. Exhale, soften. And 1 more time. Inhale. You lift up. Exhale, soften. You can release your foot. And now take the right arm at the diagonal. Roll to your side. Bend your top leg. Find your leg. And gracefully come back to your belly. Same thing, just pulse with the breath. And get your left leg very active. And soften. 2 more. Inhale. You lift up to come slightly out into more fullness in this back bend. Exhale, soften. 1 more time. Inhale. You lift up. Exhale and soften. Release your hands down to the mat. Now bend both knees. And with your hands alongside your ribs, lift up again. You may notice we're doing lots of back bends here as a way to open the front side of the body, as a way to allow more fullness to your breath, spaciousness in your upper lungs, and exhale, soften. 1 more time. Inhale, rise up. Exhale and soften. Release your feet down. Come up to all fours position. And just like we did when we were lying down, we'll move the pelvis with fullness. So on the in-breath, you'll lift your chin. On the exhale breath, as the navel draws back toward the spine, you find this fullness. Again, inhale, lift your sit bones and your chin. Exhale, and you get this fullness to the back body. 1 more time. Inhale, just slow it down. Lift your sit bones and chin. And exhale, and get your back body to be really full. Come back to what feels like the center of that posture. Step your right foot right between your hands. And we're not going deep into this lunge. We'll keep the knee on the back leg right under the pelvis. Inhale, take your arms up as if you're spreading your wings. Just take your hands wider apart. Look up. Exhale, take your hands down. Come to all fours position and step your left foot right between your hands. Have your pelvis right over the knee. Have your front knee right over the ankle. Inhale, reach your arms up. Again, just opening the upper chest allows us to just come to our breath. Allows us to find this inner spaciousness. You can release your palms down to the earth. With your knees hip distance apart, take a giant step with your hands forward. Just see if you can keep the armpits lifted. Come toward puppy dog pose, which has your pelvis draw back, your armpits lifted. You still find a lot of spaciousness here in the action. And now lift yourself up to come to the front of the mat. As you step to the front of the mat, from this puppy dog pose, make your way to a standing position. This practice included a lot of back bending to open our hearts to greater possibilities rather than these very contracting thoughts that sometimes we have, or too many thoughts. Thanks for joining me in untangling my own thoughts. Namaste.